Cody, thanks for being here. Man, after all of these moves, a few big ones coming in yesterday as well. What are you thinking of the free agent class so far?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Maria. I mean, this is what happens when you don't pay big money for a quarterback. You can spend it elsewhere. We saw that Sam Darnold cashed in with a $100 million contract in Seattle, and that has enabled the Vikings to allocate resources elsewhere. And we've seen a lot of teams early in free agency so far. We always get a team wins a Super Bowl, and then all the other teams are looking at them as a model for how to build, and we saw the Eagles dominate in the Super Bowl because of the trenches. They won up front on the offensive line and on the defensive line. The Vikings are trying to take a page out of that book. Obviously with Will Fries, also bringing in Ryan Kelly from the Colts. Those are two former Colts teammates. They've really added a lot of beef to the interior already. And then with Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave, again, it's just on the other side of the line. The one concern I would have, I mean, these are splashy moves, a lot of money being thrown around in these deals. With Will Fries, Jonathan Allen, Javon Hargrave, all of those guys are coming off some serious injury concerns. I mean, they all missed significant time last year due to injury. And so there's a little projection involved saying, hey, come into our system. Hopefully you can stay durable, stay on the field. If they do, the trenches already do look a lot better, but clearly you also need somebody to throw the football, and that's still, they're still sorting things out under center.
Oh, good point. Okay, so with Sam Darnold out the door, this is now J.J. McCarthy's team, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is the clearest. Letting Sam Darnold walk was one step. Now we just saw that Daniel Jones, the guy who the Vikings brought in at the end of last year as kind of another, quiet lottery ticket. Daniel Jones is now officially out the door as well, agreeing to a deal with the Colts to compete for a potential starting job in Indianapolis. And so JJ McCarthy is it right now. And that could be exciting if you're a Vikings fan because clearly he is a premium investment. The Vikings believe in him as the future. On the other hand, he has yet to take an official NFL snap in a regular season game. And so if you're going into 2025 with JJ McCarthy as your starter, which is what it's pointing towards, you need to change your expectations a little. I mean, the Vikings exceeded expectations this year with Sam Darnold. Really, he came in on a 1 year prove it deal. He gave them borderline top 10 play for a lot of the season. If you're starting over with a rookie, that's a lot to ask of McCarthy, even with a great setup. But I don't think the Vikings are done at quarterback. It's just a matter of what degree they address that veteran spot alongside McCarthy.
And then, what about a backup QB? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and that's what I mean. Unless we're talking about, I mean, the Aaron Rodgers possibility has been floated out there. I mean, him following in the Brett Favre footsteps. Imagine him suiting up in purple. It'd be fun to cover as a storyline. I mean, there'd be a lot of drama there. I just don't think the Vikings are interested in that route. I think Aaron Rodgers needs the Vikings a lot more than the Vikings need Aaron Rodgers at this juncture of his career. And so I think, yeah, if you're pivoting to McCarthy, if you weren't willing to pay Daniel Jones 14 million, which the Colts did, then you're probably angling towards just a lower tier veteran backup. I would still think the Vikings want to have some starting experience in the guy that they do sign alongside McCarthy, but your options are kind of slim right now. I mean, maybe it's a Jameis Winston, a Carson Wentz, a Jacoby Brissett. None of those guys are needle movers as far as there's not a whole lot of upside theoretically with them. But the upside right now is with JJ McCarthy. And so I think the priority is you just want somebody in place alongside him to make sure if he's not ready week one or he's not ready week four, that you've got someone to go in there.
What positions do you think the Vikings are going to target in this draft?
Yeah, in the draft, I mean, I don't think it's out of the question that they would continue to address the offensive line. I mean, Will Fries, that's a big investment. But again, he's coming off a major injury. Ryan Kelly, the center that they signed, he's getting up there in age. I think if you can pour back into the trenches, you do it. On the flip side, I think the secondary is an area to watch. Cam Bynum, he was kind of an up and coming safety for them. He cashed in with the Colts. He's gone. The Vikings did bring in Isaiah Rodgers from the Eagles. I think that's a good low risk, high reward signing at cornerback, but they need depth in the secondary. I mean, with Harrison Smith, Cam Bynum, Byron Murphy, he's coming back, but there's a lot of moving parts in the secondary. Stephon Gilmore, another guy who's older, free agent at cornerback. So the Vikings just need youth. They need prospects at the back end of the defense. I think they would look there.
Okay, and we've talked a lot about Harrison Smith. Have you heard anything about his future?
Yeah, I don't think there's a strong indication one way or another. And I honestly, I don't know that we'll get a resolution immediately with Harrison Smith. I mean, guys like him, I think we talked about this before. If he wants to be back, I think he'll have a spot in Minnesota. I don't think Brian Flores would say no to Harrison Smith coming back at a reasonable price tag. But I think it's a scenario where you take time, you let the market sort itself out, you see who else is coming in, you take a clear view of, do I want to put myself through the ringer again through a full season? And I think the Vikings are probably content saying, hey, look, there's a spot here for you if you want it, but just know we're going to address this position as best we can. So I would say, I mean, I would still lean toward, like, I don't think he's playing for any other team. I think it's either he's probably back with the Vikings or retiring. I still think that they're taking their time with that decision.
Cody, anything else you wanted to add this morning?
Yeah, I think all eyes are just on quarterback again. I mean, it's exciting if you're, on the JJ McCarthy train, but there's a lot of bumps in the road that can come with turning to an unproven quarterback. So we'll see who they bring in to help him out in that room.